Okay, I think we will start. Let me just. Om Badram Karne Bishunuyama Devaha Badram Pashe Makshabiryajatraha Sthirairangai Tuštuvagum Sastanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddashavaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha Swasti nastarkshyo arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati'r dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. So last class we actually saw we have started the second chapter of the first Mundaka, and as I was telling, the second part of the first Mundaka in Mundakopanishad is focusing on the Aparavidya, and particularly it tries to explain to us some of the issues related to the Karma Kanda. And as a precursor to that, we actually had this discussion. Even if we take every one of our own life trajectory across Janmas, not just in this Janma. If we look at our life trajectory, obviously, all of us would have started sometime, somewhere with material endowments in life, which seems to be considered very important. And there is a certain experience of pleasure. Although in Bhagavad Gita he says all these are arambe sukhamiva, pariname visham. That is what he says. All those at the beginning will look like sukha, amrita, but over time it will become visham. So in the same way, the material endowments in life and the experience of pleasure that we all we have initially will only make us desire for more enjoyment, because somewhere we think that's what it is, and we talked about it in good detail last time. I'm only recapitulating it for continuity. And therefore, since we desire for more enjoyment, we start looking for means to attain these. And several janmas, several shatakoti janmaha, that's what some of the scriptures and Shankaracharya and all these people say. We spend innumerable number of janmas in this experiment only. And over a long period of our existence across janmas, we begin to slowly understand that there are serious constraints and challenges in this process. Even to acquire this kind of a desire, there are serious constraints and challenges. So that realization slowly somewhere inside happens. And then we move to a state of understanding the sense of imperfection in this journey. This Vishaya Sukha, the Indriya Sukha, the Sukha out of Swarga, good karmas taking us to, in chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Somapa Puta Papaha. He says, after they do all Soma Yajnas and all that, they are absolved of their sins and then they go. Then it says, Kshine Punye Matyalokam Vishanti. After the credit gets exhausted, all the credit balance gets exhausted, Martyalokam Vishanti. You have to come back to this world of birth and death. So that kind of, that sense of imperfection slowly starts hitting us, which is called the samsara, this journey of going up and down, and punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam, and all that. So that is called that samsara. And therefore, even to come to that thinking, it will take several hundred janmas, because we should steep very deeply into this desire and this pleasure and examine it in so much and experience it so much to come to a conclusion that there is a sense of imperfection in this. So that itself is going to take a lot of time. And so then the search for non-fleeting riches and all that happens. And then we start with the grace of the Lord, an alternate path to life, a liberating experience. That's what Shankaracharya says. Even in the beginning of his Viveka Chudamani, he says, Durlabam Trayime Tat, Daivanugraha Sadhakam. You know, it's all because of Daiva Anugraha. That non-fleeting riches of life, which is the mumukshutva. So, Mahapurusha Samshraya, getting the good company of people, that satsanga alone will take us. That will only catalyze this process. So all these take several janmas, and we also talked about how the dharma, artha, kama, purushartha play a very important role in the first three stages, and the moksha purushartha plays a role in the last stage of looking for an alternate. So this journey that we make, in this journey, how is this transition happening? This transition happens only in the way we approach what we do, the way we understand how we deal with the life situations and so on. So in the initial two stages, it is all Kamiya karma, because it's all, what do I get? How do I, get more riches? How do I experience more pleasure, and so on and so forth. And as this confusion starts happening, that there is a sense of imperfection, the way we do, the way we engage in worldly activities, it is not that we will run out of worldly activities. It is not that we will take our hands off and say, I'm not going to engage in anything. I don't think in any part of the scriptures, any such ideas are ever given. It's only that our perspective to handling things, life situations and activities will undergo a change from a Kamiya karma to Nishkamiya karma. So in this second part of the Mundakopanishad, the first Mundaka, what is being explained is what are the challenges of the Kamiya karma. These first two stages, when people want to attempt, there are also challenges in that. There are also issues that one needs to take care of and so on. So that is what is described in the chapter which we have just started. Last time we ended by saying Yada Leli Yate Yachihi Samidde Havyavahane Tada Ajya Bhagwantarena Hutihi Pratipade. That Ajya Bhago, that in between those two parts of the Agni, we have to put the, when the flames are fully there, and, between the north and south portion, in that middle part, we'll have to put the, that ahuti. That's where we stop. I mean, it's only an indication of how, even to do a Kamiya karma, what kind of things that we need to do. So that is where we actually stopped last time. And so therefore we need to continue from there. Before we go further, let us, because this will be very relevant for this second part of the first Mundaka. So let us understand this karma. This word karma is quite often used. See, karma has two connotations. One is, one meaning of karma is the accumulated effects of what we do. That's one definition of karma. When you look at karma from that, then we say agami karma, sanchita karma, prarabdha karma, and all that. That is an accumulated effect of what we do. Whereas the karma that I am talking now is the action. We engage in worldly activities. And when we engage in worldly activities, how do we engage? What are all the things behind in our mind when we engage in worldly activities? Let us try to understand that. One way to understand is the occasion. Karma can be looked at from a perspective of when to do it, or how often to do it, and so on. So if you look at karma from that lens, then one can call karma as nitya karma and naimittika karma. So nitya karma means that which has to be done forever, not daily. Nitya karma does not necessarily mean daily. What it means is there are certain karma which we have to do as long as we live. Forever. Until we drop off this body, we have to do. That is called nitya karma. Now, that nitya karma can have different repetitive cycles. That can be different. For example, Sandhya Vandana has to be done 3 times a day, and every day one has to do. Or if a brahmachari is there, he has to do a Samhita Dana 2 times a day. If we are in Grihastha ashram, then we are supposed to go Upasana 2 times, and if we are living like Vedic times, we have to do Agnihotram also 2 times. Pratara Agnihotram Bhutva Sayam Agnihotram. So Upasana also Prata Upasanam, Sayam Upasanam. So these are daily. Then there are activities which are to be done, let's say monthly. For example, Amavasya, Tarpana that people do. That is a Nitya Karma. As long as we are there, we do it. But we do it once in a month. And there are some which are to be done Varshika, which is, Shraddha for departed parents and so on. They are all done. They are again done as long as we live. But the frequency is once in a year. So Nitya Karma means there are set of karmas which are to be done forever. Depending upon what activity we are saying, the frequency can be daily, fortnightly, or monthly or yearly, and things like that. Then you have what is called Naimittika Karma. Naimittika Karma are those which are to be done when an occasion rises. So it doesn't have permanence, number one. It doesn't have a fixed cyclicity. So that is how it is different from Nitya Karma. And it is not forever. For example, if you do Upanayana for a son, or Vivaha for a son or a daughter, Vivaha for a daughter particularly, all these are Naimittika Karma. When an occasion comes, for example, there is a Grahana Kala, then, people do some Grahana Tarpana or Vishuddharma. Grahana Tarpana. Grahana Tarpana is when it occasion comes. Eclipse does not come in fixed frequency and so on. So like that, one way to understand karma is looking at it from a perspective of occasion. The second way to look karma is the intent behind it. Why do I do it? That is where, you have the Kamiya karma and the Nishkamiya karma. Now, Kamiya karma, by its very definition, means I engage in an activity with a clear intention of a benefit or a result. That's why I'm engaging in the activity. In other words, what is in it for me? That is what it is. For example, Dasharatha did a Putra Kameshti. Because he did that yajna, that karma called Putra Kameshti, because he desired children. So that is called Kamya karma. For example, today I find it has just gone orders of magnitude. People do an yajna because they want a promotion. They do yajna because their health has to, something happens. They do a yajna because some daughter's wedding has to happen. So a lot of these are Kamya karmas. You put a desire in front of you. You want a certain result. And to obtain a result, with that as the prime mover of why you do the karma, one can do karma. That is called Kamya karma. And if you look at the Vedic corpus, the Purva Bhaga, this which is called Karma Kanda, the Purva Bhaga has a lot of details on these. How do you, in fact, the broader intent of the Purva Bhaga is a grand desire that I have to go to heaven. I do good, I do these kinds of karma, and let that be good karma. And because of it being good karma, I earn those credit points. And like our Sterling holiday resort, you go and stay in Swarga, all that. So there is a lot of details of what is to be done and how it is to be done. All those are there in Kamya Karma. Now there is one important thing that we need to understand about Kamya Karma. Let us not even get into this Vedic discussion. Let's take a very simple idea. Let's say I am working in an office and somehow I have felt that I should get a faster promotion. So now I have a desire. Desire is I have to get promotion. Okay. Now, if I have to get promotion, then I may start thinking how to get the promotion. Of course, one has to do good work. The work must have good results. So then I have to, focus on it, do what is to be done correctly. Don't mess up. If you mess up, the results don't come, the chances of promotion to that extent is little diminished and so on. So this is one aspect of it. Now, the second aspect of it is I will get the chances of my getting a promotion is much better because you are my ultimate boss. You are writing my an annual confidential report, or you are going to recommend me for promotion. Suppose if that is the case, then I have to do so many things very carefully. I should not annoy you. I should take care of many things. I should be present in front of you and present myself in a way I have impressed you. I subscribe to your views. I support your ideas. I mean, one can think of a whole lot of things, a long list of things that I need to do to please you. And even if I mess up one or two of them, if it invokes a displeasure on the person who is going to give me promotion, even when my results are good, the possibility is that I will not get the promotion. So therefore, the point I'm trying to make is this is very characteristic of Kamya Karma. Whether you take a mundane example like a promotion which I took, I just took this example because sometimes it is a little easier to understand this example. But the core point I'm making is Kamya Karma requires a lot of diligence, requires a great deal of attention, and it requires that what is to be done or not missed out, because if it is missed out, there is a good chance that it can vitiate or it can nullify the efforts. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, there is some shloka. I think I have this shloka here. It says, Na iha abhikramanashosti, neha abhikramonashosti, kramanashosti, pratyavayo na vidyate. These are the two things that can happen when we engage in an activity. Abhikramanashaha means all our effort gets nullified. Which means all the effort I put is wasted. In a Kamya Karma, it can happen. If you put so much effort, but you messed up one part of it, or one or two part of it, the whole effort gets wasted. That is called abhikramanashaha. Pratyavaya means counter effect, which means you intended X, you actually got X prime, or the opposite of X, or there is a counter effect of what happens, or adverse result. You are looking for a favorable result, it ended up in adverse. I mean, in the context of Yoga Buddhi, Krishna is saying this. He says, if you work with Nishkamiya Karma, which is Yoga Buddhi, then Abhikramanasha, there's a na iha Abhikramanashosti, Pratyavayo na vidyate. He says, adverse result will also not happen. The effort that you put will not also get cancelled. Swalpamapi asya dharmasya. So you, even a little bit, you try to follow this principle of Nishkamya Karma, Trayate Mahato Bayat. Many of these potential danger from which you will be served, in that context he was saying. So the point I'm making, I brought this shloka just to say that Kamya Karma can suffer from Abhikramanasha, which means the whole effort is wasted, or pratyavaya. I mean, in the first case, abhikramanasha means effort wasted, nothing happened. It's just that I put the effort and it went into the drain. Pratyavaya means I put effort and then instead of going in this direction, I go in the opposite direction. It works in the opposite direction. So these two are very characteristic of Kamya karma. But anyway, if people want something, better, they let them know the rules of the game. And if you have to butter the boss, you have to keep him in good humor to get the promotion. You should know how to do it and do it without any error in that. I mean, that is the point I'm making. So this is very characteristic of Kamya karma. Whereas if we engage in activity without really putting the effort as the reason why I am doing, this is what the entire Bhagavad Gita is all about. So in chapter 4, he says, Edricha labha santushtaha. You worked, of course, targets were there, you put the target, but then you worked, putting your best foot forward, and whatever comes, you take. And benefits come, it is a pleasure for you to take. And if you take that approach, to working, then Krishna said, just now I showed the shloka, Krishna says, Abhikramanasha will not happen. Pratyavaya will also not happen. So Nishkamiya karma is another way. The intent is, I want those effort, but I am not hooked onto I want some results, but I am not hooked onto the result so, precariously. I mean, I know results may come, may not come, but I will take it. But assuming it will come, I will put my effort. So whole of Bhagavad Gita is about it. So I'm not getting to it now because that is that karma yoga. Karma yoga is one in which you develop a habit of Nishkamiya karma. So anyway, so that is the second dimension of karma, which is the intent. Then there is a third dimension of karma, which is the manner we do the karma. See, moment we do karma, so you must understand, moment we engage in any activity, we must understand there are do's and don'ts. We cannot do just like that. But no work can be accomplished by simply doing without knowing the do's and don'ts of it. You want to operate a lathe or a cutting machine, better know, otherwise you will cut your hand. Simply put your hand here and there and the machine will have moving parts and then it just chop off. So when we do any kind of a work, then there are do's and don'ts for the work, and the do's and don'ts are to be followed. So that talks about the manner in which we are working. So that is called vidhi and nisheda. You should not do things which are not ordained. You are not supposed to do things which are simply prohibited. So you have those, that is another way. And if you end up doing that, then you have to end up doing prayashchita also to sort out the bad effects coming out of the nisheda and so on. So the third dimension to karma is vidhi, nisheda and prayashchita. This is another way to actually think of karma. So I want to put this structure in front of you because in the second chapter, second part of the first Mundaka, in which we are actually now treading into, the Shruti is actually trying to tell us that if we have to do karma with a Kamya angle, desiring results and so on, that's okay. But please be aware that you have to be extremely diligent in doing things. You have to follow what all to be followed so that we don't miss out and it doesn't have a counter effect. So that idea is being discussed. That's why I thought I will bring this notion of karma so that this is at the back of our mind when we look at the shlokas. So last time we ended up with the second shloka, which almost indicated to us, even when you offer ahuti, we should not offer an ahuti in an yajna where there is no flames. The flames are to be first, well developed, and in a particular way, you have to actually make the ahuti. That is the shloka which we saw last time. So from then, onwards, it is slowly describing some of these kind of issues that one needs to understand one engages in karma. So a few more shlokas follow that. So we'll go to the third mantra. It says, Yasyagnihotra adarshama paurnama samachaturmasya managrayana matitir varjitam cha. It's a single word. We will anyway split it later. Ahutamai vaishvadevam avidina hutama saptamam stasya lokan hinasti. It looks very complicated. It is actually very simple because it's just in sandhi. It's not a single word, it's in sandhi actually. Yasya, let me now split. Yasya agnihotram adarsham apaurnamasam achaturmasyam anagrayanam atitir varjitam cha. That makara with akara has become ma everywhere. So moment you take im and take it out, the a goes to the next word. So let me say it again. Yasya agnihotram adarshanam apaurnamasam achaturmasyam anagrayanam atitirvarjitam cha ahutam avaishwadevam avidinahutam asaptamam tasya lokan hinasti. Yasya is to that person who is doing agnihotram. Now it is talking about, you want to be in karmakanda. So let me now show you that, if you do agnihotra, the rules are stringent. That's what it is saying. What is it saying? If you do agnihotra, I will come to some of the Ignas. I will explain some of the Ignas. Otherwise, we don't sometimes make sense of this. Anyway, when somebody does agnihotra, when somebody is agnihotri, see today agnihotri has become a surname. Agnihotri is not a surname. Agnihotri is one who does agnihotram 2 times a day. He is called Agnihotri. Vajpayee has become a surname. Vajpayee is one who has accomplished Vajpayee Yajna. That's what the meaning, but today all of them has become surnames. So anyway, let's say there is somebody who does Agnihotra. Now, when somebody does Agnihotra, they are assured of certain benefits. They are assured of certain rewards for their activity. But what it says is there are a lot of complementary actions which are also to be accomplished. It's not just doing the Agnihotra alone. When you do Agnihotra, along with that, there are a lot of other yajnas are also to be done. That's what this mantra is saying. Yasya Agnihotram, one person does Agnihotram, but adarsham, darsha and paurnamasa, there are 2 of them there. Adarsham, apaurnamasam. So there is another activity called darsha, an activity called paurnamasa. Paurnamasa is to be done on Purnima day, which is full moon day. It is another, like Agnihotra, it is another Yajna Karya, which is to be done on full moon day, Purnima Devasa. Darsha is Amavasya. So there is one Yajna called Darsha. There is another Yajna called Paurnamasa. So an Agnihotri who is Adarsham, which means he is not doing Darsha. Apaurnamasam, who is not doing the Paurnamasa Yajna. Think like that. So Adarsham, Apaurnamasam, Achaturmasyam. So there is another Yajna which is called Chaturmasya, which is done, quarterly, 4 times a year, I think. So it's called Chaturmasya. In 4 months it will be done. Every quarter, if you take 4 months in a year, it will come. Chaturmasyam. So Achaturmasyam. So an Agnihotra, a person who is doing Agnihotra is not doing Darsha, which is to be done on every Amavasya day. He is not doing Paurnamasa Yajna, which is to be done on every full moon day. He is not doing Chaturmasyam, which is to be done once in 3 months, 4 times a year. Anagrayanam. Agrayanam is to be done. This is an yajna to be done when the fresh crop arrives. Because it was an agrarian society. So when the fresh crop arrives, you have to do yajna with the crops, then only you should consume it. That yajna is called Agrayanam. The first fruits at harvest time is what the, translation you see below. So that yajna is called Agrayanam. Then when you do all these, Atitir Varjitam, there is a way you have to actually do Atiti Pujanam and Atiti Satkaram, all that is part of the ritual. If you don't do it, Atiti Varjitam. Varjitam means without it. So the first line says, what is the first line say? A man is doing Agnihotra, but he is not doing Darsha, he is not doing Paurnamasya, he is not doing Chaturmasya, he is not doing Agrayana, he is not doing Atiti Pujanam and Satkara. All these Angas, all these are other constituents which go as a package deal, actually. He is not doing any of these. Ahutam, he is not giving the right ahuti. All these yajnas have very detailed information. This is what you see in the Veda Purva Bhaga. In the Brahmanas, you find what kind of ahuti we have to be given. So not doing that proper offering, ahutam. Then there is something called Avaishwadevam. There is a ritual called Vaishwadeva. Every day it has to be done. Avaishwadevam. So this man is not doing Vaishwadevam also. Or Avidina Hutam. He did Huta, but not as per the Vidhi. So it is Nisheda. Just now I showed you, it can be Vidhi or Nisheda. You do as per what is ordained, or you do violating that. So Avidina Hutam, then it becomes Nishiddha Karya, actually. Avidina Hutam. So now so many are there. A person is doing Agnihotra. Agnihotra bestows certain benefits. That is the desire with which he is doing. He does Agnihotra because he wants Karmapala. He is in the Karma Kanda. But then, as I told you, it's a Kamiya Karma. And if you want to do a Kamiya Karma, then there is a whole lot of details, whole lot of intricacies involved. And the intricacies in this case are, somebody who does Agnihotra will get benefit, provided when he does Agnihotra, he also does Darsha, he does Paurnamasa, he does Chaturmasya, he does Agrayanam, he does Atiti Pujanam, he gives the right Ahuti, he does Vaishwadevam, he also does gives the right Ahuti in as per Vidhi. Suppose if he doesn't do all that, then the mantra says, A Saptaman Lokan Hinasti. Tasya, A means beginning and end. The word A in Sanskrit, can be used both for beginning and end. It says here it is an end, up to. It is up to. Tasya A Saptaman Lokan Hinasti. He burns the bridge to reach up to the seventh loka. And what is the seventh loka? Bhuradi, Sapta Vyagridi, Bhuvaha, Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satya. These are the seven lokas. This is the chronological order. And Satya Loka is their ultimate, liberation. That is the methodology and the model which is being proposed. So the very idea of reaching there with which you started, but you did a little bit of a violation in this process of any of these, then the Shruti mantra says, for seven lokas, Saptaman Lokan Hinasti, you destroy all the seven lokas. This is one interpretation. Another interpretation they give, this Sapta, is they say, you destroy the seven lineages of yourself. What are the seven lineages? You are there. Your father, grandfather, great-grandfather. There are 3 generations before you. That's what, when you do Darpana also, you do for 3 generations. So you are there, 3 generations ahead of you, who went ahead of you, which is, Pita, Pitamaha, Prapitamaha. Those 3. Similarly, if you look at 3 generations below you, Putra, Pautra, Prapautra, son, grandson, great grandson. So by doing a wrong act of Agnihotra, not doing it in as a package, which is supposed to be done, instead of getting a benefit, you actually ended up burning the bridges, either for you, for all the 7 lokas. That is one way to understand. Another way to understand is you destroyed the caste for 7 generations in and around you. 3 on this side, 3 on that side, and including you. So the point that it is making is this is the central issue here. That you cannot do. No, today a lot of Kamiya karmas are done without being understanding the nuances and the seriousness of the affair. In fact, doing Kamiya karma can be much difficult than Nishkamiya karma. Although sometimes we think Nishkamiya karma is difficult. Actually, Kamiya karma is difficult because the results may not be guaranteed if you don't do everything very diligently. That is what the Shruti is coming to. That is exactly what the Shruti is trying to impress upon in the second part of the first chapter, actually. Now, since there are Chaturmasya, Darsha, Paurnama, and all that, let me explain all these, because many of these we don't even understand. There is a nice framework, and there is actually, if we had lived like a Vedic people, there are certain things we are supposed to do. So let me show all that so that we get a sense of what kind of a model with which they were actually living and doing things and so on. So there are different types of yajnas. Now these yajnas can be broadly divided into 2: Shrauta yajna and Smarta yajna. Shrauta yajna means all those yajnas which are coming from Shruti. Shruti means Vedas, which is the Brahmanas part, the Veda Purva Bhaga. All these Agnihotra, everything are all Vedic mantras. They are all available there, right? So that is called Shrauta yajna. All those yajnas which are from the Shruti is called Shrauta yajna. And another is called Smarta yajna. All yajnas which are coming from Smriti. Smriti means, you have Manusmriti, you have Yajnavalli Smriti. They are all the Dharma Shastra, and they are all for us to live. Shruti is that which is heard. Smriti is that which is remembered. So there is authorship for Smriti. There is no authorship for Shruti, but there is definitely authorship for Smriti, because these are remembered by some people. They have written it, and they have written it in so many sutras and all that. So that's why when the thread is changed, either on the Upanayanam day or if we have some Ashaucha, then sometimes we change the thread. The mantra, the sankalpa we make is Shrauta Smarta Vihita Karma Yogyata Anushtana. We have Shrauta Karma and Smarta Karma. In order that I become eligible to do the karma, let me change the thread. Shrauta Smarta Karma Itya Karma Yogyata Anushtana. That's what that, if you look at the sankalpa, it will come. Yajnobhavita Dharanam Karishye. That's what that mantra will come actually. Because we have to do Shrauta Karya and Smarta Karya. This is what is ordained. Whether we are doing, how much we are doing, we will have to, and how we are doing, that we will have to evaluate. Another way to look at yajna are the yajnas are of 3 varieties. One is called Havir yajna, which means there are yajnas in which you put havis, a certain ahuti. That is called Havir yajna. Another is called Soma yajna. This is exclusively Shrauta yajna. The Soma yagas are only in Shruti, not in Smriti. It is not the Smarta yajna, which means the Soma juice is taken, apparently. And the Soma juice is taken, and that is the ahuti for the yajna. That is why it's called Soma yajna. Then you have Paka yajna. Paka means that which is cooked. There are certain ahutis which are cooked and offered. So that is the third variety called Paka yajna. Now, in Shrauta yajna, you have, the Soma yajna, Havir yajna, Paka yajna, everything. Whereas in the case of Smarta yajna, we have the Paka yajnas only. Others are not there. So let me give you a little detail. That's where all the Chaturmasya, everything will come. Now, if somebody does Agnihotra, then first of all, we need to have a permanent setup like this. The photo that you see here is actually a permanent setup required for, because in a Vedic living, there are 2 Agnis. From the day we are married, there are two Agnis. One is Shrauta Agni, another is Smarta Agni. The Shrauta Agni is here. You see, there are, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. You see 4 Homakundas here, right? So what you see here, this is called Garhapatyagni, the circular one that you see on the west is called Garhapatyagni. The one on the east is called Ahavaniyagni. That is a square. This is a circular altar. That is a square altar. Then you have what is called Dakshinagni, which is on the south. It is called Dakshinagni. It is on the south. Now, there are a lot of intricacies. The area of the square and the circle and the semicircle must be equal. That is why you have to build this Pakashala, the Yajnasalas. You cannot arbitrarily, artistically do and all that. There are a lot of such vidhi and rules are laid out. The area of the square of Ahavaniyagni should be equal to the area of the altar for Garhapatyagni, and that should be equal to the area of the semicircle. You see this semicircular Vedi, which is Dakshinagni. So like this, there are rules. Then what you see in the middle is actually for Darsha Purnamasa. Because an Agnihotri is supposed to do Darsha Purnamasa also, which means every Amavasya and every Purnamasya. That is the shape of the altar. There is a particular shape in which it has to be done. So somebody who actually does Agnihotra must have this infrastructure in place, number one. Number two, the 3 Agnis must be there all the time. You have to maintain these 3 Agnis, Garhapatyagni, Dakshinagni, and Ahavaniyagni. You have to maintain. If not the 3, I think the Garhapatyagni has to be maintained forever, I think. From there, you can actually do Agna Adeya for the other 2, I think. There are such kind of rules are there. So all these are part of that niyama. I'm just giving examples as to how one should have a proper infrastructure. So in the Shrauta Sutras, all these yajna details and offerings are available. I will just give you, for example, in the Gopata Brahmana, which is the Shruti, it's a Veda Purva Bhaga, because it's a Brahmana. In the Gopata Brahmana, this particular mantra is there. Agneya Adeyam Agnayadeyam Agnihotram Paurnamasyamavasye Naveshtis Chaturmasyani Pashubandhotra Saptamah. There are 7 yajnas described here. The first yajna is called Agnayadeyam. That is the first one. Agnihotram is the second. Paurnamasya is the third. The Darsha is called Amavasya here. Amavasya is the 4th. Naveshti is the 5th. Chaturmasya is the 6th. And Pashubandha Atra Saptamah. So this is a Nitya Karma actually. The periodicity may be different, as I told you. But this is a Nitya Karma. And the offerings this is a Havi Yajna. So the Havis that you can offer are ghee, milk, curd, or cooked rice. These are the 4, and there are detailed rules available which has to be used when and how the ahuti has to be given, and all that are available. So these are called Havir Yajnas. Then you have Soma Yajnas. There are Sapta Soma Yajnas. Okay. Agnishtoma Tyagnishtoma Uktyaha Shodashiman Stataha Vajapeyo Tiratrascha Aptaryamotra Saptamaha. The Gopata Brahmanam also says there are 7 Soma Yajnas. So there are 7 Havir Yajnas and there are 7 Homa Yajnas, Soma Yajnas. The first Soma Yajna is called Agnishtoma. The second Soma Yajna is called Atyagnishtoma. And third is called Uktya. The 4th is called Shodashi. 5th is called Vajapeya. One he does Vajapeya Soma Yajna is called Vajapeyi. For Atal Bihari Vajpayee's great grandfather, somebody must have done a Vajpayee Yaga, I think. It's called Vajpayeya. Then there is another one called Atiratra. Then the last one is called Aptaryama. In fact, in 2004, after 220 years, one Aptaryama Soma Yajna happened in near Thrissur. Actually, I went there. 10 days of non-stop Yajna. Particularly 10 days of Yajna, last 3 days Ahoratram. They were doing baton passing because the Yajna has to be continuously done without stopping, day and night. There is Aptaryama Soma Yajna. I saw that. After 220 years it was done. One Somayaji. Somayaji is one who can do Soma Yajna. One Somayaji from Pune came and did that, Soma Yajna. So there are 7 Soma Yajnas in which you have all these. And there are 7 Havir Yajnas in which there Darsha, Paurnama, Darsha Purna, then, Chaturmasya, all those are there. Which is this mantra is talking about. So there are basic sacrifices. The first basic sacrifice is sacrifice from a Shrauta angle, Shruti, is Agnihotra. And that is the backbone of minimum obligatory daily ritual. Sayam and Pratar Agnihotram, morning and evening. And what is offered? Oblations of milk or rice grains with mantras are to be offered. And everybody is supposed to do it. If we do a Vedic living, every day Pratar Agnihotra, Sayam Agnihotra. And in the Prataha, the offerings are made to Surya and Prajapati. In the evening, it is made to Agni and Prajapati. Then you have Dashapurnamasa, which are, as I told you, every Amavasya and every Paurnami. So once in 15 days it will come, fortnightly sacrifices. You have Chaturmasya, which is quarterly sacrifices and so on. These are basic sacrifices. That's why the Shruti says, if you simply do Agnihotra and don't do all these, you are finished. This is a package. Then there are advanced sacrifices, which are Soma Yajnas, which are yearly sacrifices. Rajasuya can be done only by the kings, simply because the scale will run to several hundred crores of outlay. So that is called, Soma Yajna, Rajasuya Yajna, to be done by kings alone. Then Vajpeya can be done by Brahmins or Kshatriyas. This is another Soma Yajna. It is one of the 7 which I showed you now. And just to tell you, there are stringent conditions for the Soma Yajnas. The person who does Soma Yajna must be an Ahitagni. Ahitagni means one who brought Agni. And you can bring Agni only after your marriage. You should complete Vedadhyayana. You should establish all the 3 Agnis. Garhapatya, Ahavaniya, and Dakshina. And they should be live and, there, perpetuated. Should have accomplished Dashapurna Masa Ishti, Chaturmasya and Niruda Pashubandha. These yajnas he should have done. If he has not done it, he is not eligible. The family must have performed Soma Yajna in the previous 2 generations. So like this, there are so many conditions. I believe there are only 3-4 in the country today who will fit into doing Soma Yajnas. That's what I was told at that time in 2004. Not everybody are able to do because they don't fulfill the conditions. So the point I'm making, tight conditions, I'm showing only some conditions. There are very elaborate conditions when you do a Kamyeshti. Very elaborate conditions are there. Today, some Vadyar comes and we do something. We are just test drive. We are doing without knowing what it is. And somebody is told to put, do a yajna in which you bring some red chili and then put something will happen. All tantric. These are all Vedic. There is another whole category of tantric where they, they put a nail on a wood and then throw it in the ocean. All kinds of things are happening. I'm talking about only Shruti, not tantric. Even that is not done nowhere. It is done nowhere near what is being explained. That's the point I'm making. So that is Shauta. Then there is a Smarta. When we are married, we become a Grihasthashrama. So there is a Grihyagni. Grihe Sadvi, Kushala, Yogya, Hitam Veti, Grihya Patni. These are the Lakshanas of the wife who will bring the fire. She is a Sadvi. She is a Kushala. She is good-natured and thinks of the goodness of everything. Yogya. Hitam Veti. She knows what is Hita. She is the Patni. That is the wife. Taya Sahitasya, only with such a lady, Taya Sahitasya, Yani Kartavyani Karmani, Tani Grihya Karmani Ityuchate. This is what our rules are saying. That's why she is called Sahadharmacharini. She brings the fire. She is an eligible person who will bring the fire. That's why when Vadyar comes, they will ask, in fact, many families, they don't do it. The Vadyar simply puts one camphor and then lights it. Whereas in families where they know a little ritual, they will not allow it. The wife will come, even if a camphor has to be lit, the wife has to come and lit the camphor. That's what they do. Or if they have a charcoal, oven and all that. They bring that charred charcoal in a plate, and the patni has to, because fire is with her. Smartogni, it is called Smartogni. Grihya Shabdena Uchate. So it's called Grihyagni or Smartagni. So just like Shrautagni, every individual is supposed to have a Smartagni also. That is what our, laid out things. It's also called Upasana Agni. That's why in marriages today we do an Upasana and that's it. Agni is quenched. Whereas the Upasana Agni is furthered on a daily basis because it has to be nurtured and furthered forever. You do once in the morning, once in the evening. So that is the Grihya Agni. Similarly, Agnihotra Agni for the Shrauta ritual. You have to take only eligible Agnis. Agni is the carrier of everything to the god. So your things are properly carried. Next mantra will come to it. We'll come to it. That's why there is so much talk about Agni. Agni is the only courier. Agni can directly take your ahuti and deposit it there and you'll get the benefit for you. That's why we have to maintain the Agni. Today we don't maintain the Agni. Agni is quenched on the day of marriage and that's it. Whereas if you maintain this Agni is taken to lit the fire also. Finally for the soul, for the body. To lit the fire also the same Agni is used. That's how, it is supposedly to be. So, and how do you get this Agni? On the day before the marriage, the student, when he is willing to go from Brahmacharya to Grihastha Ashrama, he will do what is called Samavartana. It's a long ritual. So there is a small homa is done. From there, the Agni starts. That's how it is. That is preserved and taken, I think, as a Grihya Agni. That's what some of the teachers are saying. So Grihya Sutra also says that you have to do certain types of yajnas. So Paka Yajna, rites performed ever since marriage, daily and periodical sacrifices. Again, 7 Paka Yajnas. Sayam Pratar Hom, Sayam Upasana and Prata Upasana. Sayam Prata Homaha. Stalipaka, there is something called Stalipaka which is to be done. I think every full moon day, I think, Stalipaka. Then Nava, there is another Yajna called Nava. Bali, Pitri Yajna. Cha Ashtaka, Saptamaha Pashuhu. So there are 7 of them. Sayam, Prata 2, Stalipaka 3, Nava is 4, Bali is 5, Pitri Yajnas is 6, and Pashu is 7. There are 7 Yajnas we are supposed to do. All these are part of Karma Kanda. All these are to be diligently done, then, as per the things that are laid out. So that is called, so the frequency of rites, or there are certain rites which are to be done daily. Sandhya, Upasana, and Panchamaha Yajnas, and so on. There are monthly, as I told you, new moon and full moon days, Parvana, Stalipaka. Then there are yearly rites. Shravana Karma, it's called Sarpa Bali, Indriya Yajna, Ashvaya Yuji, Agrahayani. This is the new crop which I was talking about. Agrahayani, Ashtaka, Palguni, and Chaitri. These Ashvayuji, Palguni, and Chaitri are to be done in that respective month on the full moon day. So I can go on. I mean, I'm only giving you a very small portion just to tell you that there are such elaborate procedures are there, and Shruti is actually pointing to all that. That Kamya Karma is not easy. If you do half-baked, you are actually destroying your cause. So that way, if you look at, I think we should go the Bhagavad Gita way and then do Nishkamiya Karma. So really putting a desire, we can do all these yajnas. Then yes, few errors here and there will not come to us. The errors will, completely burn your bridges only because there is a Kamya Karma here. If you do a Nishkamya Karma, if there are some errors which have happened either out of ignorance, inadvertently, and so on, all those errors will not destroy the karma. That's why he said, Na iha abhikrama nashosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapi dharmasya trayato mahate bhayat. That's what Krishna says in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, exactly for this reason. So these Paka Yajnas, which are all cooked and offered, belongs to, by the Grahastha, supposed to be done, belongs to 4 categories. One is what you put as Ahuti. We put Havis and all that in the Ahuti, in the Homa. that is called Hutaha. Then Panchamaha Yajnaha, which is offered as Bali. We give it to, we do a Bhuta Bali, we give it, call Manushas and then give them food and all that. So that is the called Ahutaha. There is no, it is not Huta, it is Ahuta, but they are all Bali. Then Prahuta, which is offered to the deceased parents doing Shraddha Karya and in the part of the Pitru Yajna and so on. Then Prashitaha, eaten by Brahmanas. We offer food for Brahmanas. That is also a type of a Paka Yajna. So all these, so there is so much which is described in our Vedic Purva Bhaga. And somebody who is after desirous of getting certain benefits, very diligently to the minutest detail they have to do. If you have an iota of doubt, go and read Balakanda. I think you should read 14 Sarga to 18 Sarga. How much of effort and care Dasharatha took to do the Putra Kameshti, because it is a Kamiya karma. You will see, utterances Valmiki writes there, what kind of detailing, what kind of things are done, how he takes care of everything, all those are written there. Because that is the spirit of a Kamiya karma. Easiest thing is to do many of these yajnas, Nishkamiya. Then it will absolve us of a lot of sins. It is also a risk neutral effort that we can do, which is what Bhagavad Gita is actually talking about. So, because everything is now through Agni, Agni is the only source. That's why I talk so much about all these Shrautagni, Grihyagni, and so on. The next mantra talks about the Agni Lakshana. So it says, Kali Karali cha Manojavacha, Sulohita cha Sudhumravarna, Spulingini Vishwaruchi cha Devi, Lelayamana iti Sapta Jihvaha. So the Shruti says that this Agni, if you look at in mantra 2, it said, don't make an offering without the flames coming. You should not put that's why, quite often the, the Purohit who comes, he will all the time, keep blowing the air and make sure that the flames are afloat. Without knowing, you should not simply, do the ahuti. It will not go nowhere because the Agni and the flame actually carries. That is the belief system. So it talks about that Agni has 7 types of flames. Kali means black. Karali means which is very terrific. It's called Karali. Then Manojava, which is as fast. See, mind is used for speed. We say Mano Vega. No? So Manojava, that which is swift. Sometimes the flame is very swift. If you see when the ahuti and the ghee and all the it's very fast actually. So Manojava, Sulohita. Loha is actually red color. So copper is called Loha because copper is red. Sulohita, which is red color. Sudhumra Varna. Sometimes the flame is very smoky and gray, which means not much flames are coming. There are, little flame there and so on. Sudhumra Varna. Spulingini. Spulingini is sparkling. That which is really sparkling. That means the fire is so good that you have different facets of that sparkling parts of the Agni. Then Vishwaruchi. Vishwaruchi is the bright, all shining. Vishwaruchi cha Devi. Lelayamana. It's all, this flickering. When the fire is really flickering, when the fire is well made in that altar, where we are doing some of these yajnas, the fire is really, glowing very well. You will find Sapta Jihvaha, 7 tongue, and Jihva is a tongue. Basically, it says 7 tongues of the flames. So this mantra, and why is this mantra saying this? The mantra is saying this because in the second mantra, it said that don't make an offer without flames. Now it is saying at least look for only one of these 7 flames. Convince yourself that there is one of these 7 flames there. Before that, don't make an offering. Maybe that's the reason why it is talking about 7 types of flames, which are part of any Agni. So this number 7 is a very special number in many ways. And these 7 flames of Agni also has a certain spiritual and philosophical significance also. All that we will see in the next class. It is 6 o'clock. I think we will stop here. We will start this, go ahead with this mantra again. We have just introduced this mantra. So we look at this mantra and look at the significance of the number 7, because it's all there in several other places. We will see it and then take it forward. I think with this we will close it for the day. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shubharatri.